I'm curious about the kind of, dare I say, negative talk that you hear when you first encounter an executive who, whether they've lost their current role or have voluntarily left it to pursue something different, be it corporate or something by way of an alternative, what kind of chatter you hear in their minds that might resonate with the audience that's listening. Sandra, let's start with you.
I was shocked when I first got into this role as a strategist because, I have heard it before from my clients, but I didn't know how common it was. Um, and here's maybe some of the reasoning that I've deducted from most people is that when you get to the executive level, you're dealing with ambitious, smart people. And these ambitious, smart people do have a tendency to create their identity around their job and the impact that they're making. And when a layoff happens, and this just was a conversation yesterday, when a layoff happens, that impacts them it can be a very deep level because now it's personal and the impact that they make on the world has now been deemed not valuable. And it is so common that the I think I did call it emotional baggage, but I don't want to put that, that can be their words, but it is just so common that it's not as, much of a label as you might think it is. It's a perspective change to realize that when you're at the executive level, you make impacts for a time. You make impact for a certain point in time with a certain company. And if you can get that value proposition communicated, then you can make that same impact other places for people with organizations and situations that are going to value you as much as this situation did. The interesting thing is that the average executive role isn't, a long-term thing anymore. For the last 4 years and running, average has been anywhere between 2 to 4 years, depending on what executive role that is. And so the new job security is really understanding your value and being able to communicate it and know that it's not tied to the fact that you got laid off. There's other negative, if you will, emotions people have about themselves. I hear probably 4 out of 10 conversations I hear, because I went back and looked at this, it was some sort of imposter syndrome. And a specific situation with somebody I worked with a while back, she was a controller, and I worked, I headhunted accounting and finance people for 20 years, so I knew backgrounds, and I could tell she had a great background. She would be somebody I would love to recruit if I had a position for her and I was still a headhunter. And she had not a fear of going on the job search, but she's never had to search for a job before. She had never had to go out and look. It was always past bosses reaching out. It was a headhunter calling. And all those things start to dissipate as you get to this level. And we worked with her, and not too long after that, matter of fact, I put her in the immediate category, which, given that the average time from first interview to offer for a 2 to 250K person is 3 months. I put her in the immediate category, had 3 offers. And so I got a call not too long after that from her husband. And her husband said, "So I want to do that thing that you did for Susan." And I said, "Okay, well, everybody's scenario is different. Let's talk about your scenario." And he said, "Look, I know she always had the skills. She always had the capability to do it. But this fresh perspective on her value proposition and knowing that she could communicate it and it was being communicated in the collateral. He said, I liken it to her attitude when she's wearing the right clothes for the right party. And I just thought that level up of confidence was it was kind of neat. And the fact that, yeah, then her husband wanted to do it too.